Phrasal verbs combine a verb with a preposition or adverb to create a new meaning. For example, to give up, which means to stop trying, or to look after, which means to take care of someone. Phrasal verbs make more sense when we take some examples. So let's look at 25 commonly used phrasal verbs. To break down. To break down means to stop functioning. For example, the car broke down on the way. But we can also use break down to refer to an emotional state of being where the person has just heard some bad news. For example, Clarissa broke down when she heard the news that her cat had passed away. To bring up. To bring up means to mention a topic. For example, I can say, she brought up an interesting point during the meeting. Call off. To call off something means to cancel something. For example, they called off the meeting. Carry on. To carry on means to continue with. For example, you can carry on with your work. Come across. To come across something means to find something by chance. I came across an old photo while rummaging through my father's briefcase. Drop off. To drop off something means to deliver someone or something. For example, you can say, can you drop me off at the station, please? Figure out. To figure out something means to understand or solve something. For example, I figured out the answer after hours of trying. Get along. To get along means to have a good relationship with somebody. For example, they get along so well. Give up. To give up means to stop trying. For example, I could say, he told me not to give up on my dreams. Go on. To go on also means to continue. For example, I can say, go on with your story. Sorry to interrupt you. Hold on. To hold on means to wait. For example, we say in English, hold on a moment, I'll just be with you. But hold on can also be a request you make of somebody to keep something for a little while. For example, I can say, hey John, can you hold on to the parcel until this evening and I'll come over and pick it up. Look after. To look after someone or something means to take care of something. For example, I'll look after the kids this evening. Here I mean that I will be responsible for the kids this evening. We can also say the nurse looks after the patient. Look forward to. To look forward to something means to anticipate something with pleasure. For example, I look forward to seeing you at the weekend. Or, I look forward to hearing from you. Or, I'm really looking forward to the movie tonight. Make up. To make up something means to invent a story or a lie. For example, we can say, she made up so many excuses about why she couldn't attend. Or, he made up the whole story. None of it was true. Pick up. To pick up something means to collect or learn something. For example, I can say, I'll pick up the kids from school this evening. Or, he picked up a new skill. This means that he learnt something new. We normally say this when we're learning something as we're doing it. For example, I can say, I picked up a little bit of French because I lived in Marseille for 5 years. To put off. If you put off something, it means you postpone or delay something. For example, they put off the meeting until tomorrow. Or I could say, if somebody is procrastinating, I can say, he's been putting off doing the chores since last week. Run into. If you run into somebody, it means that you meet them by chance. The meeting wasn't planned. So, for example, I can say, I ran into an old friend last week. Or I could say, I ran into John at the supermarket. Set up. If you set up something, you arrange or establish something. For example, they set up a new business together. But I could also say, I set up my laptop yesterday. Or, let's set up the room for the party tonight. Take after. If you take after someone, you resemble them. And this usually is a family member. For example, I can say, she takes after her mother. Or I could say, he takes after his father, who also loved football very much. Turn down. If you turn down something, it means that you reject it. For example, I can say, he turned down the offer. Or I could say, he turned down the offer for the new job. To work out. To work out has two meanings. Firstly, it means to exercise. And secondly, it also means to find a solution. So for example, if I am exercising, I could say, I work out every morning at the gym. Or I could say, we need to work out a plan. Or we need to work out a solution. Look up. To look up something means to search for information. So for example, I could say, look up the word in the dictionary. Turn up. Turn up has two meanings. The first meaning is to arrive. And the second meaning is more specific. It means to increase the volume of something. So for example, I could say, she turned up late at the airport. Or I could say, I asked her to turn up the music. To increase the volume of the music. Give in. To give in to something means to surrender or finally say yes. For example, he asked her to marry her multiple times, and she finally gave in. Or I could say, I asked my boss for a pay rise multiple times, and he eventually gave in. Take off. To take off has a few meanings. Firstly, I could say, take off your shoes, or she took off her jacket. This means to remove something. When talking about planes, I could say, the plane takes off at noon. But we can also use take off in another sense. For example, if I am a sales manager, I can say that the sales really took off in the summer. This means that we had a lot of business and made a lot of money in the summer. For example, we often hear this phrasal verb being used for celebrities. For example, I could say, after his last movie, which was a success, his career really started to take off.